Reality Redemption is back. Back in Arizona. How you doing, Snow?
I'm doing good. Welcome back. Welcome home.
I wish I wasn't here.
And you're like, home? That's questionable. It's where I reside right now.
And we got Bridget back with us again.
Greetings.
Hello, Bridget.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. Happy Valentine's Day, both.
Oh, it is Valentine's
Happy
Day.
Valentine's Day. Or what do they call it? Happy Singles Awareness Day.
Yes.
Do you two have Valentine's?
Well, I'm talking to somebody that I really like, but I'm going really slow this time. I mean, like turtle speed.
McCall speed.
Yeah, in more ways than one. Like, yeah, how McConnell passes bills or likes to even look at them. Like, that's slow.
Wait, you just keep a bunch of men on your desk and you don't do anything with
No.
them?
I'm only really talking to one right now, but yeah, I'm just.
Is that the same one that you...
Hopefully he
Yeah,
doesn't
he
be
does.
like, this is too slow, bye-bye. And just take off.
How about you, Bridget?
We're planning an early old person dinner so we can beat the crowds.
Oh,
Like
cool.
a 4:00 dinner.
Yay.
Do you have reservations?
Like my dad's
Not
kind
really.
of dinner.
We're going to just kind of drive around and see what's open.
Oh, I'm
by
sure
ear.
like everything will probably
Yeah.
be open, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I think
Yeah.
so.
or at least some of the good places.
Well, he asked me where I wanted to go, and I wanted to go to Stuff at Burger, but they're not open today. So, and he's like,
Stuff it.
maybe something a little nicer. I was like, it's fine with me.
How about Mexican food?
Yeah,
That's always good.
We like that La Katrina. That's one of our favorite places.
Yeah, La Katrina is good.
You could have a tasty margarita.
Yes.
Yeah, while the Myra and Courtney's aren't at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, so we had a message come in last week.
We did.
Trae Crowder had a message for Snow.
Oh, one of my
Yeah.
boyfriends.
So,
I like to think.
yeah. Isn't he married?
Yes, but
Yeah.
so is John Fugelsang, and I call him my boyfriend. They're my crushes, all right? They're my liberal man crushes.
All right, so here it is.
Hey, Snow, it's your buddy Trae Crowder here. Been talking to Michael, and I understand congrats are in order on your podcast, Reality Redemption. All the best to you on that front. Also, Michael tells me that you're a person that puts their money where their mouth is. Donate your stimulus check to the Georgia election. Oh, my God, a liberal after my own heart. About to give me the vapors just thinking about that type of go-getter-itness. That's not a word, but you know what I mean? Like, that's real shit right there. Don't anybody tell you it's not. That's great. It took a lot of real shit from a lot of real people to get that done, but it got done because of people like you. And Lord, I appreciate it. We all do. Because, we're turning it around. I think we're turning this franchise around. I really do. I really do believe that. Yes, we're coming out of some of the darkest days any of us can imagine, but I think that we're starting to get back on the right and proper track now. I really do believe that because, Georgia's not the only place where we won. We won in the White House, too. Donald Trump's not the president anymore. Isn't that crazy? Joe Biden's president now. And what's even wilder is, like, Joe Biden's been, I don't know if you've been watching, he's been, he's been, like, doing stuff. You know, remember when presidents used to do stuff back in the day? He's been doing stuff. And that's just so refreshing. Now, I mean, of course, he had a lot of stuff to undo to keep our country from, exploding into a fireball of dipshittery in the first 6 months of his presidency or whatever. But still, he's been doing the right stuff to undo the wrong stuff. He's been actually taking those steps so far, and I, for one, am thrilled with it. Things are still not great. I'm not trying to act like they are, but I really do think that there's some, light at the end of the tunnel. We can see the horizon now with all this. I think we're starting to move in generally the right direction again. I truly do believe that. But I know that, like, we're still so early into that process that it can be easy to forget it. Like, we're still just reeling from 4 years of Trump and his shit, right? It's hard to get out of that mode. Because like I was talking, this is a true story, I was talking to my meemaw earlier today on the phone, and we were talking about this same subject, and 82-year-old Meemaw brought up Donald Trump, and she's like, I wish somebody kill him. I was like, I know you do, Meemaw, you whatever. And she doubled down. She's like, no, Trae, I mean it. I wish somebody just like assassinate his sorry ass. That's what needs to happen. And I was just like, oh, NSA, if you're listening, she's a card. No reason to tap all her phones or nothing like that because of the shit she's saying. You know how many laws are, NSA? Yeah. My point is, like, we're also battered from the last 4 years of the Trump administration that I think it could be like it's almost hard to believe that he ain't the goddamn president anymore, but he's not. He's really not. You know, and we're winning in other places too, and we're pointing in the right direction again. And yes, those people are still out there, and yes, we're still going to have to deal with them. I'm not saying otherwise. But goddamn, things are looking up, Snow. Things are looking up for all of us. So happy New Year to you. Happy new podcasting to you. Happy everything to you. I love you like chicken. Hope to see you down the road, Snow. See you, love you, bye. Hey, Snow.
Love you too.
Oh, that
I
was
like
nice.
the fireball of dipshittery. Fireball of dipshittery.
That needs to go on a t-shirt.
And
Right?
that
Hell yeah.
dipshittery is still going down. You know, everybody's celebrating that Trump is 2-0 in the impeachment. But who really thought he would be convicted anyways?
Nobody.
But the fucking Republicans in Congress are fucking sellouts. You know, I was seriously thinking about this. I'm like, all right, if those terrorists would have killed Nancy Pelosi, like, they would have probably had a heyday and thought it was cool and awesome. What if they killed Mike Pence? Like, because they were chanting, you know, hang Mike Pence.
Mm-hmm.
Like, would the Republicans still have come out with the verdict that they did? Like, I honestly don't know. Like, I'm honestly like, I think maybe they'd still acquit him.
I don't even want to fathom that. I mean, it's too icky to even think about.
I know, but you're like, dude, what would it fucking take for you guys to hold this motherfucker accountable?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what would it take? You know? Do people actually have to die?
Our buddy Brent Terhune put on Instagram this morning, bragging about a 2-0 impeachment record is like bragging you went to summer school twice.
Right?
I mean, he still was impeached twice.
Yep.
I mean, he just wasn't
I know.
convicted.
And they think it's a win. Like, they don't get... Because you got so many people that don't understand government anyways.
Yeah. Well,
You know?
we need to teach civics in school again.
Right. They need to bring civics back.
I keep bringing up Al Capone, and I have been for the last 4.5 years because that's how this guy's going to go down. And they also both had syphilis, oddly enough.
Does Donald Trump
Allegedly.
have it?
There's been medical doctors who've written papers that he has all the symptoms of advanced syphilis
Oh, wow.
Is that,
from an
what,
earlier infection. Yeah,
is that what makes him nuts?
it's part of the symptom.
How has he not had to get treatment, though? I thought syphilis was like a really nasty one that
Well-
does weird shit to your...
It's
Don't-
different. It's different phases of it, and then it goes into a non-infectious phase, but it still screws up your body. Yeah, there's more than actually. It's more than one doctor out there who've written papers theorizing that's why he's behaving the way he is.
I remember, like, in sex ed, seeing pictures of...
Yeah.
Oh, syphilis. Nice, fun Valentine's Day subject.
And what got my attention is, you know, he was on Howard Stern years ago saying that, talking about not going to Vietnam and him not getting venereal disease during that era was his Vietnam. You guys remember him saying that? It's been
No.
quote. Yeah, he said something along those lines. So the fact that he brought that up makes me think there was something more to it because, you know, he likes to project. So
Yeah.
President Moanspurs.
It's nice to have a nice, boring president in office.
I know. And on that thing, like, when Trae was talking about, he's not the president anymore, I'm like, I know, I keep telling myself that. I'm like, and like, it's so weird when you hear, like, it's so, I mean, nice and refreshing when we now hear President Biden. Every time I hear the announcement, I'm like, oh, yes, it's so nice.
And actually, Chelsea Handler 3 years ago was investigating if Trump had syphilis.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I was trying to remember. It's been out there. But anyway.
Yeah.
But that's how they'll get him, because financial crimes are pretty cut and dry, and there's documentation. So that's my theory.
And both of them were not very educated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Al Capone had like an 8th grade education.
But they had a lot of fans, both of them.
No, I know.
They had a big following.
Yeah.
So in other news, Tom Brady is a 7-time champion.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yay, Tom Brady.
That was awesome being in Tampa for that. Get to experience it. Like where I was staying was right in the flight path, so after the flyover, like you could hear the jets flying right over. You could hear the fireworks from when the Buccaneers won.
I can't believe the Chiefs did so awful. Not even one fucking touchdown, dude. Oh my good lord, you guys really look pathetic.
The only touchdown they had was when they landed in Tampa.
I know. Jeez.
That was a crappy game. I mean, I loved it because I was going for Brady and Gronk, but other than that, the game was kind of an awful game.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it?
Sorry.
No.
I was sleeping.
It was like I guess it was like the most unwatched Super Bowl in history. The ratings were really low on it. I think a lot of people didn't want to watch.
Maybe it was because the Weeknd was playing halftime. I didn't think the Weeknd was that bad.
I didn't care that much for the halftime show. I didn't understand the things on their face. They either looked like they all had plastic surgery or like jock straps on their heads. I didn't
see that. They look like jock straps.
I was like,
100%.
Well,
what the fuck?
That was the mask thing, though. I mean, that was the reasoning. So you had that many performers on the field. They would have to wear masks, so that's why they did it.
So and they were like, well, we're doing football. Let's make them look like jock straps to go along with the theme.
But I don't understand the point of why they only had 20 some odd thousand people in the stands. Because outside the stadium, you couldn't tell the difference. It was packed, just wall-to-wall people, and nobody was wearing masks, partying it up. All the bars were packed. Again,
well, there'll probably be a lot of infections. Mm-hmm. It hasn't been 2 weeks yet, has it?
No, it's been a week.
Yeah, so because the infections, so they've been talking about how COVID infections have really gone down, but we'll see what happens because Florida also has a presence of the new strain, too.
Yeah, and people were flying in from all over. Oh, no, on the Super Bowl, I need to correct one mistake from last week. Next year's Super Bowl isn't in Glendale. It's in Los Angeles. Then the year after, it's in Glendale. Okay.
I wonder when it will be in Vegas. Holy cow, feedback. That'll be a...
yeah, when it's in Vegas.
That'll be
Vegas would be crazy.
Yeah, that'll be a time to not go to Vegas.
But Super Bowl week is really cool. I mean, I didn't really participate in any of the experience this year, but I did Phoenix a few years ago. And I went to Media Day, and, it's a huge production, and the media is crazy. It's worth going to if you get a chance.
Huh.
When there's not COVID. So speaking of traveling's the worst part. Being in an airport, you have to leave your mask on at all times, even on the plane. And
well, you should have to.
Well, yeah. But the thing is, you have these people, like the people I was sitting next to, and they leave the middle aisle open, but you're still, 3
the
feet.
middle seat.
Middle seat's open.
Okay.
But I was next to these people that they kept on, pulling the mask down under their nose, and the flight attendant would be like, pull it back up. And they would pull it back up. As soon as she would walk away, they would pull it down again. It was like a 2-year-old child.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with people?
And imagine having to listen to that for 2 hours.
Yeah.
of constantly put.
I would have said something. I would have said, "Hey, dickwad, can you not just keep your fucking mask on like the rest of us? Because I'm sick of listening to this stewardess bitch at you."
Yeah, and then there was this other guy a few seats ahead of me that he wasn't wearing his mask, and another flight attendant was just talking to him for like 20 minutes, trying to convince him to put the mask on.
Why do people like that go anywhere? It's like,
Yeah.
fuck off. You know the rules. They should ban them too. They should be like, you're not flying anymore.
I mean, being a flight attendant is a hard enough job to begin with. You have to deal with the please shut off your cell phones and everything else.
And the drunks.
You please put up your, please put up the tray, and people don't listen to begin with. I can't imagine having to try to convince people to wear a mask for a few hour flight constantly. On the way back, though, despite having a kid crying the entire time, and it was one of those ones that the parent just didn't care that the kid was crying the entire flight. But when we landed, there was 2 sets of police officers, airport security and police officers. I think they were going to escort somebody because they weren't wearing masks.
Good.
So, what else did I do? You think Florida would be full of rednecks, but I was in a pretty progressive area. St. Petersburg. It was nice to be around that. Refreshing. Hey, what's going on there? Mic check. So, went to Daytona, the racetrack, and that was quite the experience. Anyway, having a little bit of technical difficulties here. The racetrack was cool, and they did it right. That they handed you hand sanitizer when you went in. Everybody was socially distanced. You were required to wear a mask until you got to the seat. And Daytona was like 100,000 people. There was probably only 10, 15,000 people that actually attended. Being there at that track was just awesome. And today's Daytona 500. Go Bubba Wallace. And
I have a Bubba Wallace t-shirt.
yeah.
Cool.
You weren't a fan before, were you?
Nope.
Not until Bubba Wallace did his thing.
And then I bought myself a t-shirt to support him. So yeah.
So yeah. Well, I'm not really a NASCAR fan, but I do like Bubba Wallace.
Yeah.
But yeah, I usually fall asleep at those things. There's too many laps. I'm like, wake me up when it's close.
Go faster, Mark.
Like, yeah, and they are going fast, right? Aren't they going like 200 miles an hour? I'm like, wow, this is too much. Too much for me. Huh. So, bit of technical difficulties there.
That was just us.
Theater of the mind
there.
here. Wish you could see more.
I think our microphone stand fell asleep there.
It might be toast, right? It always does that. Who knows?
Yeah, it's time for new mic stands, I guess.
Yeah.
Jesus,
They don't make them like they used to.
Yeah, it must be made in China or something. God, I was fighting with somebody on Facebook last night because I guess the what they call it, the fun run. It goes from Seligman to Topak every year.
It goes to Seligman. From Seligman, then it stops in Kingman that day and has the car show. And then the next day they go on to Topak. Yes. It's like the first weekend of May.
Yeah, so
it's right after the motorcycle run.
Well, somebody on the Kingman news page or whatever it was they were complaining about how the city canceled it, and it's the organizers that make the final decision on whether to cancel it. And this guy was saying somehow that, because my argument was, why would the city want to cancel it? Because you would want the sales tax revenue of when they stop in Kingman and spend the night, so Kingman wouldn't cancel it. They may want to make sure it's social
No, and
distance.
Kingman's fucking anti-mask. Why would they cancel it? And it's outdoors. They don't give a fuck.
Mm-mm.
Like, it's like, yeah, how does this make sense to them that it wasn't the organizers canceling it?
Been having other car shows. Like,
Yeah.
all along anyway.
They still do it like I think it's like first Saturday or something.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have their little car shows downtown.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, this guy was like, "Wake up, slave! Can't you see that it's the big government?
Oh,
They
good
want
God.
to keep us. They want to keep Kingman poor, and so they relied on federal funds." And just bullshit. And he's like, "Yeah,
That's
you
not-
libtard." I'm just like,
That's not why Kingman's poor, but okay.
God, the mentality. That's why it was nice to get out of here for a few days. You know, see
Yeah.
some ocean.
Mm.
I know, and to get away from the people like that. I'm so sick and tired of listening to the big government's coming, like the Reagan era bullshit. I'm so sick and tired of hearing that, because my thing is like, this is how I feel about fellow union members. I'm like, stop fucking complaining. You are part of that. You are the union. So stop complaining about it. Same thing. We are the government. The government is ours. I don't know why they keep straying from this of the people, by the people, and for the people. Take it the fuck back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I want. I want my fucking government back. I want my government to work for the people. I don't want it working for the corporations like you fucks have done ever since you have your Reagan views. God. This is why I don't even engage with them anymore. I'm like, look, you're not going to get through to these people.
Nope.
They are brainwashed. They've been brainwashed for over 40 years. They've been brainwashed with that. What was the phrase that Reagan's famous phrase, the 8 words that I worry about. Hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. They are fucking brainwashed that it's bad.
Yet they don't vote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. A lot of the Trump supporters didn't
Mhm.
vote. I mean,
Uh-huh.
maybe if they would have actually voted, maybe the outcome would have been different.
Yep.
But no, it's all rigged.
Well,
and
they
fixed
probably still voted for their king. They probably didn't vote down ballot.
They didn't vote. They haven't voted in years, a lot of them.
Oh, then why buy the flag? Why buy all the gear if you're not going to participate?
It's a cult.
I know, he's like a sports team to these assholes.
You know, I did go to Great American Pizza.
Saw that.
Did you see the lovely artwork?
Oh God, it was horrendous. Oh, I wanted to throw up in my mouth. Even my kids stayed in the car while I ran in, and they were just like, "What is this place?" Just judging by the clientele walking in there, they were just like, "Ew."
Redneck
I
hell.
will say, the pizza is really good. I will give them that. I will never go there again because they had Joe Pyro on there last weekend. I thank God I missed that.
How desperate does Joe have to be to come out to Golden frickin' Valley?
Maybe he's going to run for sheriff in
Well-
Mojave County.
Maybe.
Well,
I can't make it in Maricopa, but these losers really seem to like me.
Well, that's probably the only place you could go to get any adulations, you know?
Right. You're a hero, Sheriff Joe.
Yeah. You putting the Mexicans in tents, you know?
God, he's so stupid.
I heard it was quite the scene out there. Too bad Aaron wasn't here to fill us in because Aaron went.
Oh, man. Yeah, he probably got some great footage.
Well, the time I went out of curiosity, I was bored out of my mind. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go check this out. So, well, first of all, just the decor. I was trying not to laugh the whole time. And I had, meatball sandwich was excellent. It took forever to get, but and again, I don't ever have to go back because I took it all in. It's burned into my brain, but it's just so tacky. It's just so tacky.
It is tacky.
Kitschy, whatever you want to call it. Not good.
You should have seen the looks
It's their
I got.
brand.
You should have seen the looks I got because I had a mask. So they're like, "What are you doing here?"
You lost?
I hate my money spent the same as anybody else's.
That's right.
I'm surprised they accepted it.
Yeah,
We don't take no liberal money here.
Yeah, and I got some flack for going there, but I'm like, when you think about it,
yeah, I got some flack too.
most of the businesses here are on the side of that place. So
I was trying to make a statement by going, all right, the election's over, let's make peace. And then I immediately regretted it. I was just like, although the pizza was good.
My thing is like, why can't the people around here just be Republicans? I don't mind patronizing Republican businesses. Honestly, I don't care what political party you follow.
we should.
But why do you have to be a racist asshole and promote that? Then I don't want to fucking spend money with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. I don't want to give you a dime. I don't want to help your fucking racist ass out. Honestly.
Yep.
It's like,
I shouldn't know your politics going into your establishment for one.
Right.
well, I don't even care if they're
But,
Republican though. That's fine. I have plenty of Republican friends.
Right. Like the My Pillow guy. How bad is he fucking up a $300 million a year business?
He's done.
Yeah. Why would you do
I heard
that?
his pillows suck anyway.
They do.
Yeah. Aren't they all like lumpy?
Yeah.
Somebody
I got
told
one
me
years
they
ago. It
suck.
sucked.
Because they're like filled with like chunks of foam.
Yeah, and they're uneven
Oh.
and it's gross. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so's
I threw it out.
Mike Lindell. He's gross.
He is
but-
gross. That commercial
Yeah.
is creepy with the one at him.
I know when he's all
in the
hugging his
mirror.
pillow.
Well, he shows up in the cabinet, medicine cabinet mirror in the bathroom.
I haven't seen that one.
It's so creepy.
Why would you do that? Why would you put your political affiliation on any business at all? It seems like you'd want to just accept.
Because he's in a fucking cult, I guess. I mean, they're like, look at all the people who wore the fucking Charles Manson t-shirts thinking that asshole was fucking cool.
Yeah.
And he was getting sued by the company that was making the ballot machines because of.
Because he went, shut the fuck up.
They are. A lot of them are getting sued.
But he still went on OWN last week and did like a 2-hour infomercial or.
I think Giuliani's getting sued for his statements that he made. Like, the people who own those, what's the name of the company? I can't think of the name, but they're going after a ton of people. Yeah, 2 of them. And they're both going after
billions.
a ton of them.
Yeah, billions.
And I'm like, good. At least some of these companies have the fucking balls to stick it to these assholes. I'm like, this is what we need. People need to be held accountable.
Kelly Ward's been put on notice by one of those companies to cease and desist.
Chemtrail.
Kelly Ward, she's quite the card. She's all for, trying to overturn the election results in Arizona, but she won't accept a recount
for herself.
I know. Like, how'd you win, bitch?
I like reading the comments on Twitter. She's getting ratioed hard. It's great.
We should have her on.
You should.
What if she should
Honestly, I don't know how she did win. Okay, in the 2016 election for senator, when she ran against McSally on the Republican side, my dad specifically, like, he's a registered independent, so he's like, I can still vote in the primaries. He goes, so I went in. He goes, I already knew I was voting for Cinema. And so he goes, right? I'm like, I voted for
Yeah,
Deidre.
I'm going to have to break up with her because she's
But
pissing me off.
I know, her and that fucking filibuster. And so he's like, I'm going to get a Republican ballot because I can't have that crazy ass Kelly Ward getting in there. He goes, I got to go vote for McSally. And I'm like, Dad, whatever. You don't need to tell me this. He acts like he was impressing me. He's like, I'm going to be voting for a Democrat. He's like, I'm voting for Cinema. And I'm like, you're voting for her because she's pretty. I know your thing. You said the thing about Hillary, that's why you didn't want to vote for Hillary, because you didn't like the way she looked. Remember? And I didn't like that, and we got in an argument over that. He didn't vote for Trump either. He left President blank, but I'm like, thanks a lot, asshole.
Yeah. Like, while you're there, you might as well, Yeah.
So, Bridget, you worked for the newspapers for a while.
Oh.
How was that? I mean, dealing with the
over 20 years in mainstream newspapers.
well, locally though, how was it?
Well, I started off more regional. I worked for some bigger papers in California. Like politics stuff or
Yeah, politics.
I was mostly in sports. Did a little bit of news, but luckily for me, I wasn't really involved in it, a lot of that at all. I mostly was on the production end for most of my career, but and I was kind of a conservative back then too, so maybe I wasn't really paying attention, but
Oh yeah, you didn't probably notice it.
yeah, I was actually pretty conservative until I moved here, and then saw how everybody was really crazy here and switched parties.
like, no thanks, I'm good. I'm cured.
So you saw the light?
Yeah, saw the crazy. Didn't
know,
want to be part of it.
I'm actually pretty moderate, but it's because the right has gone so far to the right. Now it seems like I really lean left.
Like the thing that kills me, like I'm considered a progressive. How is a progressive though somebody who's into the ideals of FDR and Eisenhower? But we're considered the progressive. I'm like, no, the party left the people.
Yep.
Obviously, I'm like, why are we considered the far ass radicals? I don't get that. It blows my mind.
And I'll go through most of Eisenhower's platform with a conservative, and they'll be like, yeah. I like all those things. I'll go, well, you're a liberal now. You would have been a conservative 50, 60 years ago, but now you're a liberal. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, and now like Mitt Romney's considered a liberal.
Yeah.
I mean, to the far right.
Well, even
people.
Reagan would have been a bit in some ways.
Yeah, in some of his stances.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy how it's gone.
Yeah.
That's why.
But I'm glad to see the conservatives getting on board with the whole Made in America thing again. I mean, yay.
Maybe Charity blocked me because she found out I wasn't a Trump supporter.
Is she?
She was a Trump. Yeah, she was a Trump supporter.
Why did she like did she not understand my video of reading when I do my first book review? She liked that. And I was like, oh, she's on our side. Maybe she didn't get it. Like that there's nothing in the book. It's a book of empty pages. If you're listening.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. She blocked me, so I don't know if she'd be listening anymore.
Yeah. Oh, well. Moving right along. So, do you have some, interesting sports stories that you could tell us?
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I can't say any names or places to protect the innocent, and it's been almost 30 years in some cases, so I may get things wrong. So, just...
Okay. So, before Mojave County, you were in the Los Angeles area?
LA, SoCal, yeah.
And you can't say what paper.
I worked for more than one paper. I worked for a handful of them.
Were you the major papers?
Some of them.
Okay.
And I started off I was like 20 years old, and I started off in the horse racing department and then moved on to the main sports department, and mostly doing, the stats and all that programming. Back in the day, we had to hard code everything and paste up, and it's not like now where it's all just computerized, this was also the last breath of the actual real newspaper world before it went to hell. So we still had all the papers in the market. We still had our own reporters covering beats for the different teams, the major teams, and so I would hear stories told directly to me, or I would hear them from other parties, and I don't know where to start, but I'll start with Lasorda. Okay. I can say Lasorda because a lot of what I'm going to say is already known.
Okay, let's talk. Okay. Let's talk about them. Rest in peace, because he recently passed away.
Yeah.
So rest in peace, Tommy.
Right.
I always liked him. I thought he was
and he was well
jolly
liked.
Guy.
He was well liked. But it's no secret that he liked to say, walk around with only his blue Keds on. Didn't care if there
And
was
nothing else.
He didn't care if there were women in the room.
Whoa.
Even David Letterman's told stories about this. So it's a known thing.
Did he
Kinda like that
have
movie Major
like?
League.
Did he have like a unit that was like nothing to be ashamed of, and that's why he's out showing it off?
Nobody ever brought it up, so I'm going to say probably not.
Oh God.
Um,
He just had no shame.
He had no shame, and I think he liked to embarrass people too. I think he did it as sort of because he did like to kind of play with people a little bit. And he also had a very famous temper. Like if you were a Cub reporter and if his team lost and you asked the question of why do you think you lost, you were going to get it.
Oh.
And they would actually set up newbies to go in and ask that.
Oh. How mean.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so I was an aspiring reporter at the time. I was in my early 20s thinking about becoming a sports writer. So the guys were planning, the guys in my department said, well, we need to get you in the locker room and see how you handle being next to Naked Tommy and how he handles you. And at the time I was like, let's do it, right on. I never did get to, but it's so, the whole Me Too thing, and you think back and it's like, wow. Holy crap. The things that went on in those departments at all newspapers, all sports departments that were sort of expected and accepted. I don't think they're doing that anymore.
Right.
At least they're not.
Probably not a good idea.
Like if you went on the road, say you were you had a beat with like the NBA or whatever, and you go on the road, follow the team around. Every strip club in every town. You know things. You get really close to some of the big players, and I heard stories. And I'm going to be very careful here because things have really changed a lot in 30 years. With there should be more pro athletes out, as coming out as gay, and that's not really still not happening in the men's major sports. So the women's are like the WNBA, they're really out about that, and
right.
I think there's only one NBA player who's an active player who's come out. But this is what I'll say. And this would have been like between like 91 and 96 in that era. But I knew one of the beat writers for the NBA. And he was really involved in like a lot of the after hours kind of stuff. Like he went to the private parties.
Mm-hmm.
And this is right around the time Magic Johnson, came out with his news about being HIV positive. And this guy pulled me aside one day and he said, I'm going to tell you, and I'm only saying this because I've witnessed this. He says, at least between 25% and a third of the players are having relations with each other. And he was a witness to that. And I'm thinking of 30 years and it's still so taboo to come out, kind of blows my mind, but
25 to 30%.
Yeah. And in his opinion from what he had witnessed, and he had traveled all over the country with all the different teams. He was at the houses of these people, these players. I don't know how their wives didn't know. Because there were, parties at their homes.
Maybe they did. Maybe their wives are like
Beards,
Iman.
maybe?
Like,
Yeah.
remember, I remember hearing a story about David Bowie and Iman, and she walked in and, like, there was blowjobs happening, and she was like, oh, just giving a blowjob.
Yeah.
Okay, she's like, I'm going to leave.
So I've been waiting for 30 years for these guys to come out, and it's not happening, still not happening. I mean, it kind of a little bit in the college sports, a little happening, but...
Yeah, you think somebody would write a tell-all book or something like that.
Yeah.
They obviously still don't feel
and these were players
comfortable.
Yeah, these are players that even people who weren't really into sports would know the names of.
So, like the first string players.
Yeah.
The starters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm still waiting. I'm like, what's the deal? What's going on? And they've taken surveys of players who would say, how would you feel if one of your teammates came out? And most of them are like, I don't care. They're fine, So I
think it's just more like I think maybe there's just more of a sense of shame for men than there is for women. Like the way that I think it would just be harder for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, I'd rather just keep it my own business kind of thing.
Well, you wouldn't want to alienate your fan base because your fan base it probably would be accepting of that.
They've got to worry about not being able to sell.
So I wonder if it's the league that's doing it, because I'm sure people have wanted to come out. In fact, I think the guy who he came out like 6 years ago. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name, but he did write a book, and I think that was part of it. Was he had wanted to come out for a long time, and finally just did. But it was, people have already forgotten about it, so I don't know why. Who's keeping the lid on things?
Yeah, I mean, like even in football, I wonder why you
I know
care
it's
about
not
that in
like a big deal for that long because there was a guy that famously came out in football, and I can't even remember who he is anymore.
Yeah.
It's like people are like, okay, it's like big news, and then it's like, okay, everyone's back to like no one cares. They're off to the next thing, the next big story.
Like in women's soccer, it's celebrated.
I know. Probably in the WNBA too, right?
In fact, I heard something that there's so many gay women in the WNBA that they were like, okay, enough. We have enough of this coming out. We don't have to do this anymore. It's such a accepted thing.
That's kind of messed up too. They should be able to do. Yep. They should be able to say, look, Yeah. Like, huh.
But a lot of the seedy side of sports reporting I was exposed to at a young age and decided that probably wasn't the direction I wanted to go as a reporter. So I kind of stuck to the non-traditional sports for a while and feature writing and that sort of thing. But it kind of crushed my whole idea of reporters being objective when they're sharing, on the road, sharing a suite with a coach and bringing back a specific kind of prostitute that coach likes.
Ooh, what kind of prostitute would
like a specific ethnicity with a specific body feature.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they're both married and their wives have no clue,
Do you think the wives have no clue or they just accept it because of the lifestyle?
Yeah. Some I can say for a fact that I know for a fact their wives did not know what they were up to.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, but I think somebody would tell them.
Yeah. They had, I'm just sitting in my room by myself having pizza, and they're, off at a strip club rolling up dollar bills and putting them up, strippers' buttholes and.
Yeah, who's the person that goes out and finds the hooker with a specific body type?
This is why I don't want to pay
a major beat reporter for a major newspaper, and that's all I'm going to say.
So you get a major sports reporter to go out and scout for a certain type of hooker.
Yep.
For a certain type of coach.
Yep.
That isn't it.
So you kind of wonder about how objective are we being anymore? Because.
And why would that reporter want to report that?
I'm waiting for someone to write a tell-all book because there's dozens of people I've talked to over the years that have so many stories.
Because like on conspiracy theories, the only reason why I don't believe in a lot of conspiracy theories is because you'd have to have so many people keep it under wraps to go along with the conspiracy that it would seem like somebody would break and tell the conspiracy,
and capitalize off it. Yeah.
And because like every time there's a mass shooting, it always goes, well, that's a false flag, and
they were crisis actors.
It was crisis actors and all this other bullshit that they say. But then, like the one in Vegas, they say that there was multiple shooters. But then, how come you can't have? There's no video that comes out of it. And the reporters would have to be involved, the press, the police, all the crisis actors, and not one person will slip.
You know what's sad about the Vegas one? So, I knew someone whose brother died in that. And he believes that he believes the conspiracy.
I had a customer here from
Like he
Kingman.
says that his brother's dead, but and died from the shooting, but he believes that it was all staged so that the government could take their guns. Like he firmly believes this.
I know somebody too that his brother was a victim, and he believes it was a conspiracy.
I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
They're listening to Alex Jones, apparently.
Yes, this guy is an Alex Jones fan.
Yeah, and I just had a discussion about weapons the other day, and I actually, when I worked for a local paper down the hill, I sort of took on as my beat the firearms laws and things that were going on, because at the time Jan Brewer was,
Oh God,
they were passing a lot of bills.
Sea Hag, that's what I call her.
But also around that time, the Supreme Court, during the Obama administration, solidified the rights of individuals to own firearms, because there were some court challenges where they kind of were thinking about, well, let's just let the militias be armed or something like that effect, only trained people. So the Supreme Court said, no, everybody's allowed to have a gun. That's it. And then Brewer and the legislature, what was it? You didn't have to have a concealed carry permit anymore in Arizona. You didn't have to register weapons made in Arizona. There was like 5 laws. So I covered that, and I had a pretty good idea. But so anyway, someone brought up, Biden's going to take our guns. And I said, so I explained why that can't happen. Biden can't really do shit. He can maybe get some limits on like ammo or magazines or something, but it's Congress. We need a supermajority to get anything done in Congress. And then say they did it, then it's going to go to the Supreme Court, and they're going to knock it the hell down because it's a conservative court. And I'm just like, nobody's taking your guns. They're doing that to sell guns. And so this guy brings up, well, I heard somebody say they're taking our guns. I said, oh, Beto O'Rourke? He didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. I'm sorry. I like the guy, but he was saying he knows that can't be done.
That was a dumb move when he said that.
You know what I would have just said to the guy? Did you ever watch PBS and how a bill becomes a law? Like,
No.
They need to bring back that.
Remember the little guy walking the little
just a bill on Capitol Hill.
Yeah. So he kind of a little bit sunk in, and he's like, "Oh, so they're just doing this to get everybody's emotions." I said, Nobody's taking your guns. They can't do it.
Let's bring back Schoolhouse Rock. I mean, that's how,
No,
that's how we learned this
All
shit.
of them. I even liked 3, 2, 1 contact.
So it kind of shocks people when this liberal knows just a little bit about weapons.
Well, we've said this for years.
Yeah.
I know plenty of liberals who
Yeah.
love their guns.
Yeah.
Plenty of them.
When I was in Florida and I was going from Tampa to Daytona, I stopped in Orlando. I stopped at the Pulse nightclub, which at the time was the biggest mass shooting ever. And that was just really, really sad. I mean, my eyes filled up with tears. I mean, they're just being there. They have like these glass walls they put all around it, and glass and plywood. And there's a bunch of pictures of all the victims and artwork that people did. And you can still see the holes in the walls.
Oh.
Just,
that would be very eerie to see the bullet holes.
Yeah. And I know some people who had connections to that, and some LGBT advocacy type people. And yeah. It still takes the breath out of you.
And I mean, we've always said that we're not against guns, but there has to be, something to keep guns out of people's hands that are just whack jobs like that. I mean, like the Vegas shooter. Hey, fine, have a gun, but why do you need 30 of them?
Right.
Because he was planning on killing people, Like, that's the reason why. It's like, why can't we just agree on that? I don't get it.
And most people agree on tighter background checks and other things, other regulations. Like, what, 80-90% of people agree.
What's wrong with background checks? Anyways. Speaking of gun nuts, Did you hear how the Social Contact Club is doing?
No, I haven't heard a word.
Dear God.
Is there an update?
I haven't heard anything.
That was so creepy, just seeing his picture, like, in his suit, sitting, I'm like, ugh.
Pimp daddy.
And, like, gosh, you probably get an STD just walking into that place. I'm like, ugh.
Did you see? Okay, so the Social Contact Club, you bring your own alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They have a poker night, but there's no money exchanged on premises.
Is it strip poker?
No,
Yeah.
it's just regular poker.
Because they'll get in trouble for, like, the gambling laws.
But
that's why.
But if you're just doing it for chips, though,
right?
Wouldn't the chips be purchased off-site, and isn't that still gambling, though?
No idea.
I don't know all that. I'm sure he's looked into all that, though.
Yeah.
Like, the dude...
Well, I tried to send a spy in there, but he didn't want to go.
Why would you?
I wouldn't want to go in there.
If somebody went who was semi-normal, like, if I would feel like I would have to, like, wash my body with a Brillo pad after, like, literally scrape my skin.
Well, I'm gonna guess it was a sausage party.
I would think so too. I mean, what kind of females are showing up to that?
Right. Well, I won't go there, but
There might be a few.
yeah. I haven't heard a word, so I don't know anybody who's gone. So
Is he no longer married?
Was he married?
He used to be married.
yeah, somebody with a name very similar to mine. So people get me confused with her
Wait,
Oh.
he was married to her?
sometimes.
The mask, that's the mask person, right? The one that
Same
was
first name as mine. Yeah.
Yeah, so the person he was married to
I'm not
her?
gonna. I don't know if they were legally married, but they were a couple.
I thought they were married.
They were married,
Yeah.
and I don't think they have been for a few years.
God, that all makes sense. But wasn't she collecting signatures at that location?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe.
Well, she would have to be somewhat lunatic to hook up with that.
They may still be like business partners because I think they may still own that property together. I'd have to look at it. It's something we could look up. It's public record.
I drove by it the other day because
Where is it?
I think I was getting a coffee.
It's on
and it's
Stockton
over there.
Hill.
It's over in that area.
Roughly between the Human Being and Safeway, I'd say.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Oh, okay.
That's where I went and got a coffee from a human being. And I was like, ew, there's the social club. And they've got like a sign up. I forget what the fucking sign says. I was just like, ugh.
Freedom. We should get that guy.
Yeah,
on here.
something about.
Would you think he'd be hostile if we got him on?
Yes?
Actually, I don't. I think he would probably come on.
No, but I think that he would like yell and
I
stuff?
don't think so. Honestly,
Is he not a yeller?
I don't think so.
Oh, I would think he would like
Or
go off.
It's like one of those crazy, calm and crazy.
Like,
Like,
yeah, I mean,
like
I think he'd be
Jack-
okay at
Jack
first,
Nicholson.
but then I think
Yeah.
he'd turn into a lunatic.
I don't know. I think he'd stay calm.
Huh.
At least while we were on air.
Were you able to debate with him?
No.
Mm.
He for a long time tried to get me to come on to his radio show, which as far as I can tell, he's still doing it on K Talks. Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Love, Guns, and Freedom.
But years ago, he tried to get me to come on there as the queer girl, and he was gonna have someone else on there like doing point counterpoint with me, and I was just like, no, I don't think so.
How was that being on the air here? Were you accepted?
Down in Needles, we had a small following. Again, I was a little less liberal then than I am now. But we exposed everybody. We didn't care who they were. So we had our little base of listeners, but who actually listened to us was Bullhead City administration, the police department, the fire departments, all those types of people listen to us. More than we probably had more of an audience from those places than anywhere else.
But you got flack for exposing things, right?
Yeah.
Like there was Can you talk about the casino?
Oh, yeah, I can. Because I think it finally did come out, but and again, everything I'm talking about happened like a decade ago, so this isn't like anything recent. But one of the travel casinos was being investigated by, I think it was the FBI, somebody like that, and they were running 2 sets of books, so they had to completely restructure their everything with their business. And so we exposed that on the air a little bit, and we had already not me, I didn't own the station, I just volunteered there, but the station had lost most of its advertising by that point anyway because of all the things it was exposing, and that was one of the last major advertising accounts was the casinos, so that went bye-bye.
Well, I can imagine they wouldn't be too happy with that story coming out.
And earlier they'd been exposed for putting solid human waste on their edible crops they were selling to the public.
Gross.
Oh.
Yeah. That was like 15 years ago. It was, this stuff's like ancient history, but here I am telling more stories. Old salty woman here. But, yeah. We sort of told the truth enough to where it pretty much put the station out of business, and he sold it.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Anything else? Any other dirt?
There's all kinds of dirt. There's all kinds of dirt. Just dirty cops, dirty politicians. I can go on. We really went hardcore after the ex-mayor, Jack Hakem, and we were just exposing little things like expense reports that weren't done right, like padded mileage and just minor shit, and it just pissed him off so bad. So we were at war with Hakem for years.
And did he have any power to do anything about it?
He tried. At one point, sorry, I got hair in my mouth. I don't even remember what it was we were after him for, but he went into a public meeting, city council meeting, held up a red folder and claimed to have dirt on me on the record at a meeting. So I'm like, oh, now that's a public record. So I tried like hell to get what I knew was an empty folder. But I took it as far as I could. I got lawyers involved. I got the state involved, the state ombudsman office. Hakem ended up just kind of claiming executive privilege or some bullshit. And I was building a case against my former newspaper employer and the city of Bullhead City for defamation against me. I did have a case. And in Arizona, just so you know, anybody listening, if you want to sue anybody for defamation, there's only 4 states in the union, sound like one of those, in this country, where you have to prove financial loss. And I did have a source who was going to help me prove that. So it's really hard to sue for that in Arizona. So anybody ever threatens to sue you for defamation or slander or libel, they got to prove they lost money.
Oh, that's awesome because...
Wow.
It's called defamation pro se or per se. I can't remember which it is. Yeah. Anyway. I ended up not being able to sue anyone because the attorney who was going to represent me had a conflict of interest with my former employer. And that was the only guy who was willing to help me, so...
So...
Convenient, right?
You think the corruption still runs deep?
Absolutely, and it's probably worse than ever because there's even fewer sources of news out there now. And the ones that are still around are behind a paywall.
Well, yeah, I mean, because there's basically newspapers are like turning into dinosaurs now.
Right. And I fought with my publisher because I was exposing little tiny things, nothing even like huge. And they didn't like me doing that. And I said, well, I'm not going to stop telling the truth. And I dared my publisher twice to fire me. I said, what did I do wrong? Nothing, but we don't like what you're doing. So I just ended up quitting. I got tired of the bullshit. But, oh yeah, I'm sure it's worse than it ever was.
Well, I mean, there's no money in that industry anymore.
No, it's dead. And then, like the police departments have here in this county and the cities here have such a terrible reputation nationally. You get hired here and then you try to move up the ladder and go somewhere else, it's really hard to get out. So that's where these guys become really dirty because they're stuck here. They got no choice. They are stuck in Mojave County.
Wow.
Yeah. You notice they never promote anybody from outside when they have like an opening of some sort. It's always from within here. That's why.
So if you're outside Mojave County, you just don't want to come here.
Well, you may want to come here, but they're not going to let you in because they know one another's secrets. They got it. Yeah.
Oh, so you
Like good old boys.
You don't want any
Yeah, you
fresh
rarely
blood
see fresh
coming
blood
in.
come here, like for a top job. Yeah. Like they're,
I'm into this.
Interesting.
like I knew about cops. You know, the cops here don't make very much, even with overtime. I knew cops that were dealing drugs, who were selling.
Holy shit!
Lots of them. And, you know, a lot of them were hooked on steroids, legal steroids. You name the drug, it was going around.
Huh.
Especially like the SWAT guys were really bad. There was a lot of shit going on with those guys.
Why the SWAT guys?
They're like a gang. Now I was never able to really confirm this because I would have had to see all of them naked. But there was a rumor going around that one of the SWAT teams, they were all getting the same tattoo, and it said something along the lines in Latin of order through chaos, which is a very underground kind of white supremacist, Alex Jonesy kind of a thing.
Wow.
Proud Boys.
Yeah, it's
boys.
right down that line.
Oh,
Yeah.
yuck.
God.
Yeah. And there were like a lot of mishaps with weapons and all kinds of crap that really never got out. And this, you know, I'm working at the newspaper hearing about this, and we would report it carefully because, you know, the newspapers don't want to piss anybody off here because they're all pretty much under the thumb of the quote stakeholders. So,
Jeez.
One big corporate mess.
and when I say local papers, I mean more than one. Not, yeah.
Well, there's only a couple local papers.
There's a few,
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's some smaller independent ones that aren't doing that. But again, actually there was one that actually hired me as a freelancer for a while and was letting me really report some hardcore stuff to Standard.
Who owns the papers here?
Honestly, I don't even, it's been so long since I've been. The ones down the hill that I think are owned by like big national syndicate type. I don't know about Kingman.
Hmm.
And then the smaller ones are all like family owned.
Yeah, I like how the Daily Miner is always portrayed as like a liberal newspaper when
Yeah.
they're really not.
Oh no, they're not at all.
I know. The people here are just insane. They just
Yeah, there was an editor.
if they read something from the newspaper, one article they don't like, there's the liberal label slapped right on them, and they'll do it to all of them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, the Miner had an editor who was trying to help expose people dying at the hospital and the hospital's horrible record at the time. And he was asked to leave. He got pushed out of town because he was reporting the truth.
Mhm.
They didn't care for that.
It's like Jack Nicholson said, they can't handle the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the hospital board is also the same people that used to be on the airport board, and I don't know. It's all
They want
interconnected.
things their way.
Yeah.
So
They want to
Yeah.
own the town.
But I got to give kudos to the Standard because that's the only outlet that just supported me 100%. And I had a really great editor who, you know, backed me up and checked everything out. But
was there money to be made in
No.
newspaper at the time?
No.
Back then.
The last newspaper job I had paid $13-14 an hour.
God,
Yeah, here.
why do people stay in it?
And I was making more than the reporters were because I was sort of like a news editor some days and quasi-management. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard. And it kills me because the fewer newspapers we have and the fewer, you know, the stupid paywalls, it just lets the corruption flourish.
Right, and then everybody just turned, and without newspapers, people just turn to social media for their news, which is never a good
Right.
thing.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, and at least when I had a newspaper behind my name or a radio station or something, it was a lot easier for me to procure public records. But now as just, you know, a normal quote person, it's impossible. I've been trying since August of 2019 to get some stuff from the thing with Luana Gillette. all that stuff that went down. I never did get it. I was trying to get like emails and stuff that were absolutely public record, and I was pretty much given the middle finger by the city and the county. So yeah, mostly the county.
God, why did I come back again?
To keep fighting. I don't know. And I did that. I did my podcast for a while as I was thinking I would start digging again, but I don't have a shovel anymore. So there's not much I can do.
And you have no connections to shovels either?
Not really, yeah. My really good mole in the police department got fired
oh shit,
a couple years ago, and the other 2 people I used to work with both passed away, so yeah, I don't know. And then part of me is like, do I want to even go back to that?
I don't know. Yeah, so there's something that said
Getting
for
old.
ignorance.
Yeah.
Just like,
But yeah. So I just assume everybody's corrupt anymore. So probably safe.
I think the best of everybody. I'm still naive. I like go, no, everything's good.
Yeah, and there's other things I'm even afraid to even talk about. We used to talk about on the radio, and we'd use like nicknames for people, and like the drug trade around here, like the stuff you see on TV. That happens here.
Really?
Yeah. It's kind of frightening, and people never seem to get in trouble.
How bad is the drug issue in this area?
That's horrible. And there's a few people that are obviously, controlling and bringing things in, and they're getting a pass from local, state, federal law enforcement. Now, I think, this is just my opinion, I think they let these people stay out there because these departments, the more busts they make, they get more grant money, it helps them stay afloat. And I think they like having these individuals out there doing their thing. Instead of just cutting the head off the snake because they know the snake.
Well,
plus, they'll make money off of them one way or another because they can, if people get caught with them, they can send them to jail and make money off of them that way.
Yeah.
Like it's...
keeping people in the prison.
Have you ever seen the documentary America's Drug War? I think it's called like The Great White Hype or something like that, and it's about America's drug war. How it's the longest running longest running war that has still never been defeated or over. And one of the guys in the documentary, he was a retired LAPD, and he was in the time when they were bringing drugs into Watts. So they had the CIA director at the time, and the people of Watts had like a community meeting, and that guy was there. The LAPD guy was there. He was high up in the LAPD, and he stands up in the middle of the meeting and he tells the CIA director, he goes, I know for a fact that the government is bringing drugs into this community. And the CIA director like dismisses him and just keeps like kind of talking over him. He goes, sir, these are the code names, and starts naming them off.
And the Navy's been
and
bringing
the people
in.
of Watts like jumped up and they're like, I fucking knew it. And so the LAPD officer, he ended up having to move to Venezuela. I mean, he had to get the fuck out of the United States after that. But he goes, there was like a great moment of unity in doing that. And he also had mentioned, he goes, if you've ever seen the movie The Boys in the Hood, and he goes, there's a part in the movie where Lawrence Fishburne says, how did the drugs get here? We don't got no planes. We don't got no helicopters. We're poor. How the fuck do they get in here? Yeah. And that's how, like, and I've always had this theory that, here, we're talking conspiracy theories. I'm like, I think they purposely brought it in there to either A, get the community hooked on drugs so they could sell drugs. Then they can prosecute them and bust them for selling and distributing drugs, and then get them or kill them off like they didn't give a fuck.
Yeah. And then you have the private prisons,
right?
And they make money off of the inmates.
And this was like all around that time.
Did you see that? What was the name of that Tom Cruise movie? that he was running
American made.
American
And that's about that. That's about the Contras too. And he would fly the drugs over into all stuff where, like, I remember being a kid when Oliver North was on trial, and the only thing I really remember was seeing him in court with his hand up all the time because I was 10 and I had no idea what was happening, you know? But that guy, when it was all said and done, he got a fucking show on Fox News.
Yeah.
That was his reward.
Yeah. And I know somebody who was in the military and was allowed to leave early because he was a witness in a drug case for drugs coming over on a submarine in the early 90s. And I guess there's been books written about this. This isn't a big thing, but yeah.
I mean, conspiracies like that I can get aboard with.
Yeah.
Right. It's just, I mean, it makes you think. I'm like, what the fuck are they doing this for?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and hearing, like, watching the documentary on Freeway Ricky Ross, too. He was, like, a main distributor during that time. And he was talking about, he goes, oh, yeah, they come in with this opportunity. He goes, people don't understand. Before that, he goes, I would go into stores and steal, like, a box of crackers or a bag of chips because I was starving. He goes, I didn't want to steal. So they came to me with this opportunity. So I became the biggest crack dealer at the time. Yeah. He goes,
you know, if they weren't making drug busts in this county, they wouldn't get any more funding. And the other thing they do here, and they've been doing for years, and I'm going to reference an article, if anybody wants to know what's going on in this county, it's a Phoenix News Times story from January 27, 1993, called Rats. Snitching for the sleaziest cops in the state isn't going to look good on your resume. Everything that happens in this story is still happening to pretty much the same extent. A lot of the work here is done by using informants. That's kind of what this story's about.
mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know how much actual detective work's going on around here, but they're using informants excessively. So,
I always wondered why this place only seemed to care about when it comes to the law. They really give a shit about people speeding. I mean, you go over 5 miles over the speed limit, you're probably getting pulled over. And they care about DUIs. Like, that's their thing. I'm like, why do they just let the drug problem continue and flourish here?
Because it brings them money.
Right. I mean, I've always thought it was insane. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
And you'll notice, like, if you see a story in the paper or wherever, you know, guy gets busted for drugs, blah, 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 and he's out the next day. That's because now he's an informant, you know.
Huh.
They put him to work, you know, he's part of the machine.
It's crazy.
Well, I guess on that note, we'll wrap this one up.
On the note of corruption.
Happy reading. If any of you caught that article, I highly recommend it, even though it's
an
old article.
Put that out there again. Where can they find it?
Oh, it's on the Phoenix News Times website. Of course, I just closed it.
Oh, I love New Times.
But yeah, it's called Rats. Snitching on the Cops will not look good on your resume. It's about Mojave County and what went on here with the informants and the drugs. And
I'll put that link on our social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I sent it to you. I'll resend it. But
yeah. So look for that. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and we're on Twitter too. I need to do more with that. I need to get the website up and going too. But hey, I was on vacation, so.
Woo!
Welcome back to paradise.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Well,
at least it's not humid.
It wasn't that humid when I was there.
Yeah.
It was a little bit.
it was like a good time of year though for low humidity.
Yeah, that's a good time to go to Florida.
Yeah.
I was actually supposed to be on a cruise ship right now, headed toward the Roatan out of New Orleans. Thanks, COVID.
Cruise ships, though.
COVID.
That's like...
COVID ruins everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be like... Because I've been wanting to do the Alaska cruise, but I'm like, I think I might wait several years, like put that one more off. I'm not excited about getting on a cruise ship.
I was supposed to go on one July to Alaska, but they're going to have to cancel it because all the Canadian ports are shut down.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get over COVID this year. I think this year is going to be able
Got another
shut
year.
down.
Yeah, we've got another year to go.
Well, yeah, they're saying everyone that wants to get the vaccine should be able to have it by the end of summer, I think.
Yeah, end of July, I think.
Yeah, and I'm supposed to go to Tennessee at the end of September, so I'm like, we'll see.
I don't know. I was in Tampa for Super Bowl week, and I managed to stay socially distanced for the most part.
It's the planes I'm worried about. It's the airplane ride.
Yeah. Well, hey, knock on wood, I made it a week, so another week I should be all set. I was like on a plane and I swallowed something wrong and I started to cough a little bit. I'm like, oh no, do not cough on a plane.
Right.
Oh, thank you have COVID. We've gone from steaks on a plane to coughs on a plane.
Motherfucking COVID on this plane. All right, on that note, we'll see you next week. All right.
Thanks for having me back.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, anytime.
That's great. All right, see you next week. Bye.
Bye, y'all.